Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tea and Tarot with Will and Kate. So I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank you for joining in live. I'm Kate, also known as the Daily Tarot Girl. I've been reading and teaching tarot for over 10 years now. Well, I've been reading tarot for a lot longer than that, but teaching for 10 years. And I'm joined by Will from Atypical Tarot. Welcome, Will. So happy to be reading alongside you today. So this week between Christmas and New Year's is always kind of a weird week for me. It's like this weird kind of no man's land where I'm usually not super busy, although this week I kind of am. But I always find it's kind of a weird week because it's kind of the lead up to New Year's. So I'm like kind of thinking about the new year and my plans and my, what I'm going to focus on in the new year. And so it's kind of a fun time, I think, to sit with our tarot decks and pull some cards and do some readings. And welcome everyone who's arriving. Hello, Luna, Bonnie, Moira, Lori, Kathleen, Brian. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. I don't know how many people are going to be here today, Will, because I forgot to promote. I didn't promote this very well. I normally do a little post on my YouTube, and I was late doing that. I just did it this morning. So I did promote it, and same with Facebook. I normally do it like a day or two before the event, but I forgot until I've been kind of out of sorts this week. Just lots of stuff on my plate. I've been kind of like disorganized.
I'm sure it'll work out. I think we have people. Yeah. I think it'll build up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Welcome, Julie and Lois. Hello. All right. So I was wondering, Will, how do you feel about making some like fun predictions for the new year and like pulling, one or two cards just to see like what kinds of themes might be coming up for us in 2024?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, I thought
like
that would
in general,
be a fun
just for anyone watching, or like specific.
Yeah, just like in general, just like a general kind of maybe just pull one or two cards to see what kinds of energies will be present in 2024. Just as a fun way to kind of kick things off.
All right, I like that.
Okay,
and what deck do you have today?
I've got the Everyday Witch Tarot right now. I also have the Elemental Wisdom Tarot. I might switch to that, but I'm going to start with the Everyday Witch Tarot just because that's a comfy deck for me. What about you?
I have the Yuletide Tarot.
Oh,
actually, this is a new one. Yeah, you were asking me about new ones earlier. This is a new one for me.
Cool.
So it's actually kind of nice. The box.
Ooh. Pretty. Oh, it's a Christmassy tarot.
Yeah. So I thought that would be good. I mean, it has a lot of winter scenes in it, though. It's not just too Christmassy.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Luna says, did anyone get gifted tarot decks this holiday season? Me personally, I did not get gifted any tarot decks. Yeah. What about you, Will? I think I asked you this.
Yeah, no, already. I didn't get gifted any. I mean, I've got a few over the last month, but no gifts.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going to draw one card for 2024 and just see what card comes up. And my intention is that this card is going to kind of give us a little overview of the kind of maybe some of the themes that might be coming up for us in the new year. Okay. All right. Oops. Okay, so the card I'm choosing, Ace of Wands. Oh, I'm excited to see this.
Right. Yeah, that is a good card for
you. Yeah, it is. I love getting aces. Okay, yeah. So, one thing I'm noticing, a couple of things I'm noticing. The symbol of the fire. So three things I'm noticing in this card. The first thing is the symbol of the fire and this idea of, so to me, like a fire is very clearing. You're burning something, you're getting rid of something. The smoke is going up into the atmosphere. There's something kind of a clearing sort of energy with that. That's symbol number one. Symbol number two is the variety of all these things in the smoke. So we've got a book, a feather, a paintbrush, a wand, an easel, or a paint thingy palette. It looks like a picture or a map maybe, and music notes. These are all symbols of creativity, I think, and manifestation. And then there's also a bit of plant, a piece of plant. And then the other symbol I'm noticing is her posture, the way she is standing with her arms open. So what I get from this card in terms of what's in store in 2023 and the theme of 2023, I think a big theme is new beginnings and getting started on something. And I would say that regardless of which ace appeared. So the aces in general are, cards of new beginnings, fresh start, fresh energy. But the suit of wands is a suit of action, taking action, intention, passion, creativity. And so I think that this year is a really good year to start certain creative projects. We might collectively, I think we might feel our creative juices kind of getting more activated this year. And I know last year I had all these intentions and goals to focus on creative projects in 2023, and I didn't do really anything creative in 2023. It was like my least creative year by far. So I love seeing these symbols. We have the paintbrush, the music notes. So I think that creativity is going to play a big role for us in 2023. And her posture, her stance with her arms wide open is this idea of being open to things and being more sort of willing to receive things, being in like that receptive mode, which I think is kind of required if you're going to live a creative life or do anything creative. There's a certain amount of receptivity that has to happen in order for you to get inspired and create something. So I'm excited to see this card here. So I'm curious, Will, what you got?
Yeah, I'm excited to see that card too. And then to go along with that, I got the King of Wands.
Oh, beautiful.
So I think it's perfect because the King of Wands is able to use that energy to build on whatever new projects or new things come about. He knows how to plan and make those things happen. So I think that we'll be able to not just have those ideas come, but like you said, really do them this year. So yeah, I think that that's a perfect combination. We got both ends of the spectrum there, being able to make things happen and getting new ideas. So that's like the perfect combination. I like that. That sounds really good for the year then.
Yeah, I'm happy to see that King of Wands with the Ace of Wands, because to me the Ace of Wands can symbolize like getting ideas and inspiration, but it doesn't necessarily mean you can carry them through and make anything of it, right? But the King of Wands kind of does. Like that's the piece that I'm excited about.
Yeah, and I had a lot of things too that I was thinking about, and I was wondering, was this too much? Am I taking on too much, and then I'm gonna not really do all these things? But that's really good to see get that confirmation that okay, it's not too much. I can handle it, and to go for it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's perfect. Perfect way to start.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you have any exciting things coming up on your YouTube channel in the new year, Will, or anything that you want to promote or anything that you have coming up?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to start the courses, or not the course, but the series on using the Thoth deck. So I want to go more into just the basics of using it, like not with a lot of the detailed mythology or anything like that, but just if you're new to it, just picking up the deck and little tips and things that might help, and just building a series about that. So that's one thing I really want to do, because I think that I want to promote that deck a little more. And really, I think people get a little bit stuck on the deeper parts of that tarot system, and you really can just use it. It really has some really great things about it that really help you focus your reading, and if you know what to pay attention to. So just to point those things out. And then also on my channel, I'm going to be doing a series on just taking one system other than RWS or TOF and spending maybe like 30 days, 60 days with it, and then doing a video talking about my experience with that deck. So like really, really focusing, because I've never really done that with any other deck other than those two systems. So right now I'm looking at the Wild Unknown Alchemy and the Lucid Dreaming, Lucid Living systems.
Okay.
They're very different, and I want to see how that, I just want to really try to extract as much as I can from spending time with the guidebook, using the cards every day for a period of time, and just seeing what evolves from that. So I want to do that. And then also, I do have my website if anyone wants readings. It's atypicaltarot.squarespace.com. And hopefully I'll be able to open up more times on that. I have some because I'm off right now. And then on the weekends, I have a few coming up. So if anyone wants a reading, they can go there.
Cool. Thanks, Will. So I've got some fun stuff coming up. So going into the new year, I'm going to continue with my court card series where I'm doing deep dives into the court cards. And once I'm done that, I'm probably going to start diving into the minor arcana cards at some point, which I'm excited to do. And I have a few fun things coming up in the new year. So I'm also going to be offering readings, private readings. I only offer private readings once or twice a year, usually in January and then again in the summer. So I'm excited to dive in and start doing private readings again. You can't order your reading yet. I don't have it all set up yet. I'm going to wait till the new year. So in the first week of January, I'm going to post it, and I'll promote it on my YouTube channel and on my website. And if you're on my mailing list, I'll send an email about it. And then what I'm really excited about is I'm going to be doing a free tarot workshop / sort of journaling session. Again, probably in the first or second week of January. And I did this last year. So it's going to be kind of a similar thing that I did last year. So it's about an hour and a half workshop. And I walk you through using your tarot cards to kind of call in 2024 and envision, what things you want to focus on, what intentions you want to set, if you have any specific goals you want to set, and how you can do that using your tarot cards. So I'm super excited to do that. Again, I don't have any of it set up yet, so you can't sign up yet, but I'm going to get that set up in the next few days. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Okay, so I'm thinking we can shift into pulling some cards for people. So if you're here live and you want us to pull a card for you, just let us know. If you have a specific issue or topic or question, you can let us know that. Or if you just want a general reading, that's fine too. I think how we did it last time, Will, we each pulled one card for each person, right? Or did we alternate? I can't remember.
Nope, we did. We each did one card per person.
Okay,
yep.
Cool.
And
all right.
I think I was looking at the top and then you were going down to the newer ones.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll pick the first person and then you can pick the second person. We can just kind of alternate. Does that sound good?
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. I'm just going to scroll and see if there's any super important comments that I missed. Oh, Bernadette says, I bought Winter Magic Tarot. Cool. I don't know that.
I saw that. I don't know that one either.
Okay.
I like wintry decks.
Yeah, I do too. I have a couple. One of them is called the Slavic Legends Tarot. That one to me feels kind of wintry. There's lots of snowy cards there. Okay. Let's do a reading for Luna. Okay, I'm going to put this on the screen. Any advice or guidance from Spirit going into 2024? All right. So the card I got for you, Luna, is Four of Pentacles. All right. So The first thing I notice on the Four of Pentacles is this guy seems like he's kind of on edge and he's a little uptight. He's in a locked room and he's sitting on his chest of gold. So maybe he has some kind of anxiety about money or his things, and he's kind of trying to keep everything kind of near him. He feels this need to sort of sequester himself and kind of protect himself. What I'm getting from this card, Luna, in terms of like what kind of guidance or what do you need to hear as you go into 2024 is that there might be a part of you this year that actually really wants to share yourself with others. Like you really want to maybe be more open and free when it comes to like sharing your skills, your gifts, your talents with the world and with, the people around you. But there's this part of you that also wants to stay safe. And so part of you wants to branch out and express yourself and share yourself. But then there's another part of you that's kind of protective that wants to not feel vulnerable and wants to kind of protect yourself. And so there may be certain times during the year that feels like you're it's this tug of war with these two different parts of yourself, like wanting to share, wanting to be more open and feel more fearless and free, but then also wanting to feel safe and grounded and contained. So the key, I think, for 2024 for you is to find a way to give yourself that sense of safety and containment and groundedness as you branch out and try new things. So you don't have to like forge full speed ahead and dive into things and make yourself feel super uncomfortable and vulnerable. Like there is this like kind of, I've noticed this like in sort of self-helpy spaces and self-helpy circles, there's this idea that you always have to be pushing yourself and making yourself uncomfortable and getting out of your comfort zone and being vulnerable in order to grow and move forward. And what I get from the Four of Pentacles is actually that's not the approach you want to take. It's kind of a one step forward, two steps back kind of way of moving forward. You don't have to go full steam ahead. You don't have to take big risks. This is about, giving yourself a sense of stability, groundedness, safety, taking care of yourself while getting out there and, trying new things, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, taking risks, but doing it in a way that feels like not too much, if that makes sense.
Oh, wow. That really makes sense. Yeah. So, our cards are really in tune. I got the Page of Pentacles, which is the Page of Gifts here.
Okay.
And I think it really plays into what you were saying about the conflict between wanting to get out there. I know pages are they're very open to exploring. They're very new to the scene, sometimes inexperienced. And the conflict you were saying between wanting to do that and really wanting to be more on the conservative side with your energy and your time, I think it matches that. You have both of those things now. And so going into the future, definitely you may feel like taking risk or you may feel like really exploring things. And I think that's okay. But to just always maybe take the time to reflect and learn a little bit more about what you're getting into before jumping right in. So normally with this card by itself, I would say, yeah, now is the time to maybe be a little freer, explore. But in combination with the card that Kate got, I see that there's two things going on here. There are some good things that may be presented to you, but then really, how can you maximize your experience? How can you maximize whatever you're trying to explore? How can you maximize that and make that the most efficient experience instead of maybe scattering it out and losing some of the value, if that makes sense. But I really think that's clear. I don't think I need to really dive too much deeper into it, because I think these two cards really do explain very well what's coming up and the type of things to look out for you. Yeah. It's kind of a story that makes sense to me. You know, someone that is ready, but still has some things that might be a few hangups. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I love those two cards together. So Luna says, this was so helpful. Thank you both. And Luna, I also see your other comment. It says you've been isolated for about a year or so and slowly emerging. So the reading makes sense. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Luna, for letting us read for you. And Will, let me know which comment you want me to
go back up to the top here. If I can find the first one. Okay, so Bernadette Carson would love a reading. Am I going to grow and thrive in 2024? So this is 1206.
Okay, 1206. All right, I got it. Okay. Do you want to draw the first card, Will, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'll draw the first one. All right, let's see. Got another page here. Page of Canes, which is, I think in this one, the pages of Canes is a page of swords. So that does imply growth. There's a snowman there. The thing about it, though, I think there's some initial growth, but also because it's a snowman, you have to maintain that. So the conditions, I think, have to be set to allow this thing that you built to not melt or deteriorate over time. So there's potential there. You can build this great, whatever you're trying to build for 2024, you have the ability to build it, but you have to think ahead at what could possibly come along to take away that project, because there could be something, you know, as the seasons change, that could really just suddenly make this thing melt away, if that makes any sense. So that's kind of what I see with that. And I went out of focus.
I love how you use the snowman and that analogy of things melting away. That's so good. I love that.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought about when I saw that. I was like, that looks interesting.
Okay.
Focus.
Yeah, I notice your camera's like going out of focus randomly.
Yeah.
I know you changed the setting in hopes to make it better.
Hope so.
Okay. So I'm going to draw a card for you, Bernadette. And so you got the Page of Swords, right, Will?
Yep.
Okay. All right. 3 of Swords. Okay. Yeah, this is interesting. Okay. So your question, Bernadette, was, am I going to grow and thrive in 2024? And 3 of Swords. So I just want to say, yes, you're definitely going to grow in 2024. The 3 of Swords is an interesting card because it can come up when we're ready to see things clearly and to see things as they are. And I think that we can't truly grow and thrive if we're buying into illusions, or if we can't see things clearly, if we don't have a clear lay of the land. It's hard to really move forward and grow and thrive. And so the 3 of Swords is really, it's sometimes interpreted as a card of like heartbreak and feeling sad or feeling betrayed or lonely, but I actually will often read this card as being a card of clarity and suddenly kind of having a flash of insight and seeing things as they are, not necessarily how you want to see them. So like kind of removing the rose-colored lenses and seeing things as they are, which can be kind of harsh and it can be a little bit jarring. And it can be kind of traumatic and heartbreaking sometimes when we take those rose-colored glasses off. But it's a necessary step in moving forward when it comes to growth, when it comes to thriving and growing. It's kind of that necessary step. It's kind of like ripping off a Band-Aid. Like, it has to be done. It's uncomfortable. But I want to draw your attention to the fact that the Three of Swords is a minor arcana card. This isn't, you know, the Tower or the Devil or anything like that. This is a minor arcana card. So this is more minor in nature. Now, a couple things that jump out at me is the journal that's on the bed. So there's a journal on a bed and there's a pot of spilled ink. And what I get with this is it's like a warning. It's saying, hey, look out for this. Be aware of this as you step into 2024. So journaling and kind of going inward and reflecting is going to be an important thing to do. But there's a difference between going inward and journaling in order to kind of process things and figure things out, and using journaling as a way to, for lack of a better way of saying it, like complain about things. Like, I don't know if you've ever done that where you've sat down with a journal and you're just writing and you're like mad about something. So you're complaining and you're just like writing about it. And then like after you feel like way worse than when you started. It's kind of saying like, just be aware that you might have a tendency to do that this year. And just being aware of that is going to be helpful. So I just want to kind of relate this card to Will's card. So Page of Swords. Now, interesting, because Page of Swords, I just did a deep dive on the Page of Swords. And one of the things I highlighted was the Page of Swords can kind of represent feeling a little bit unstable, which I think is great that there is like someone building a snowman, because that snowman is inherently unstable because, like you said, the weather changes and it kind of melts, it goes away. And the Three of Swords is also kind of an unstable card. We have the number 3. And I do think of the Three of Swords as being a card of challenge and growth. It's definitely a growth card. And it does have that feeling of feeling kind of unstable. So I think one thing that's going to be really helpful for you, Bernadette, as you move into 2024 and as you go on that journey of growth and you move towards a state of thriving, one thing that's going to help you thrive this year, I think, is having something that brings a real sense of stability to you. So it could be like a daily practice or a weekly practice. So I'm looking at this card, I'm seeing the journal. It could be like a weekly or daily kind of journaling practice or a meditation practice, or even just habits like, you know, walking or exercise every day, or something that brings a sense of like stability, predictability, continuity. Because I think that 2024 for you might be a year where there's a lot of shifts, and it might sometimes feel like you want things to be more stable than they really are. And so I think creating kind of a routine, having some things that help you get that sense of stability is really going to help you thrive this year.
Yep, I agree. That sounds
so thank you. Thank you, Bernadette. Okay, and Bernadette, you said, wow, thank you both. It makes sense. I'm trying to heal from past trauma. Okay, yeah. And one thing I didn't say about Three of Swords that I often always say, and for some reason I didn't say it this time, is it can signify a need for healing. I mean, we have a heart with 3 swords stuck in it. And so sometimes it is about healing issues of the heart and heartbreak, emotional pain, and focusing on healing those things. So thanks for letting us read for you, Bernadette, and for clarifying. Okay.
All right.
Okay, let's do this one. Jess, I'd love a reading. Kate, you recently helped me clarify starting my new business, nutrition. Thank you. As a follow-up, I'd love some clarity about my next best steps as I start my business. Okay, I do remember reading for you, Jess. I remember your question. Okay. So next steps in your business. All right. So the card I have for you is, oh, the Emperor. Okay. I love this card for a business question. This is like the perfect business question because the Emperor is, if you think about someone who's starting their own business, the Emperor is such a great card because he is a sort of born, I don't want to say entrepreneur necessarily, but he is so good at being self-motivated, being in charge, making decisions, planning ahead. He's sensible, but he also has this rebel spirit, which I think is kind of required if you're going to strike out on your own and start your own business and work for yourself. There is a certain amount of rebelliousness, I think, in doing that. And you're kind of blazing a trail in a way. So let's talk about the Emperor. A few things jump out to me with this card. Okay. The first thing I notice is the star map at his feet. And this makes me think about timing and planning ahead. So having a plan, and so your question was clarity about my next steps as I start my business. Okay, having a business plan, having a plan about, you know, what your business is going to be like, what kinds of services are you going to offer, what are you going to charge, how are you going to promote your services, are you going to work out of a building or your home, or are you going to go to people's homes? Like, how's the setup? Like, just planning kind of the basic stuff, having a plan, a business plan. And also like the financials too, getting a sense of how much do you need to make from this business? How much are you willing to invest in it, et cetera, et cetera. So like having a plan. And then the star map to me is also about timing, because there is a way to sort of time things. And some people like to work with astrology. I will sometimes work with like the phases of the moon in timing things in my business. Sometimes I do this and sometimes I don't. But sometimes I'll look and see what the moon is doing. And if I have like a big launch or something where I'm going to be really busy, I'll plan for that around the full moon. And then for activities that require me to kind of go inward, I'll plan that around the dark moon or the new moon. So there's different ways of using astrology or the cycles of the moon to plan things. So you might want to kind of consider that if that resonates. But ultimately, I'm seeing with this card, this is about planning ahead, but also having confidence in yourself. The Emperor is super, super confident. He believes in himself. And like I said, he's a bit of a rebel. So he doesn't do things by the book. He kind of has his own idea of how he wants to do things. And other people will tell him, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this. And he just has his own ideas, which sometimes works really well for him. And other times it can be a burden because he's a little bit stubborn and doesn't necessarily want to listen to others or take advice from others. He's like, nope, I know exactly what I want to do here. But ultimately, the advice I get from this card is this is about tapping into that confidence, that inner confidence, and really believing in yourself and seeing yourself as being really successful with this new business venture, and really working on that feeling of confidence, as well as planning ahead and taking care of the practical things. So next steps in your business, get a business plan if you haven't already. Will, what card did you get?
So this time I got the Three of Swords.
Oh, 3 candy canes.
So, yeah, they're inside of a mushroom. Now, I think that with any business, sometimes initially there's all these sacrifices that you have to make, time, energy, and then just spending time doing things that maybe are maybe more enjoyable. There may be some mundane things about the business starting up that will be a little bit difficult to really feel motivated to do. There's always aspects of certain things that aren't the exciting parts of a business until you get things going. And I think that's what this card is talking about. And I think the Emperor isn't afraid at all to make those sacrifices. He's very capable of doing that because he's very efficient. And so I think that you'll be able to really do that this year. So maybe to go along with those next steps is to just look at things that you maybe have to cut or that might be consuming some of your time that you're okay with letting go. And as you make those plans, putting in the things that are going to be more productive, and maybe leaving some things for later that you could add in a little bit later once you get a little bit more comfortable with the business. So yeah, I think that's just a little bit, I think that this speaks a little bit more about sacrifice, not so much on the heartbreak or challenging side of the Three of Swords. I feel like it's more because it's paired with the Emperor, it's more something of a sacrifice that can be handled for the best of the Emperor's kingdom, things that he has to kind of, the hard things that he has to do to make things work. And that's where I see that. So I think that you'll be very successful with the business, and you'll be able to put all those things, all those pieces together, the sacrifices, the planning, just the logistics in general. I think that you'll do just fine. So
Yeah, I like what you said about the Three of Swords, and I like that the tarot deck that you're using shows 3 candy canes through a mushroom. That's so much less intimidating than swords going through a heart.
yeah.
It's like much lighter.
Yeah.
Okay. Will,
Oh
you
yeah.
get to pick the
All right. Let's
next
see.
thingy.
All right. So we have Brittany Wynn at 12:06 also.
Okay. All right. I feel like I'm talking a lot this time. I feel like I'm like have verbal diarrhea and I can't stop talking, which is like not.
No, it's good information. I like
Okay.
No,
I did a live on my channel last week on Thursday, and I had 3 sleepless nights, and I had a really bad stomach ache, and I was just very much off my game. Some of you here, I think, were probably at that one. Maybe you remember. I just was like, I felt like I was floundering the whole time. I don't know if it came across that way or not, but you know, when you're reading live and it's sometimes it goes really smoothly and you're just like, you look at the card and you know what to say. And then other times, if you're not feeling well, sometimes it's a struggle.
No, I think you're doing great. Okay. So Brittany got High Priestess. And the High Priestess is definitely about the inward journey, about connecting to your inner self in a way that helps you live your daily life. So using that inward connection to operate on a daily basis. And I think that for this year, your guidance is to really try to tap in more to that and see, just see where that leads you. Spend more time in meditation, going inward. I think that a lot of times when you first start to take that inward journey, there could be some shadow, but it's also about integrating that shadow. So maybe this year may be a time to think about integrating any of those shadows and not really allowing those to be blocks to going inward, because sometimes people, when they take that inward journey and look at some things in their past or some things that maybe are in the present, it stops them from doing that and to just stick with it. So I feel like this card is saying to stick with that journey, that inward journey, because there's so many things that can be gained once you get past those initial stages. And so I think there could be growth there with that. Usually that's when you have a lot of growth, when you go and take those steps to look at different aspects of your life and to really bring those together. So you have the black tree and then you have the white one here, which really are about polarities and opposites and bringing those together. So maybe if things were very much on the love and light side in your life, there may be some things, some aspects in the shadow that need to come to the forefront to really kind of make that next step for the year, and not to be afraid of those things. A lot of times people are afraid to dive into the shadowy sides of things, but I think it's okay for this year for you to really explore those things, because if you leave them and they just kind of become their own entity and they go off and they sort of create all this extra mischief in your life to get attention, and eventually they're gonna get your attention in some way. They will manifest in different ways. They could manifest in all kinds of unusual ways around you. So but they need to be healed. They need to be brought to the forefront, and maybe something minor, but still, you have to really sit there in order to really find it sometimes, because sometimes they're so hidden you don't really notice it, and it can go on for years and years and years until you really take the time to slow down and notice what that thing is, and that you have to know what it is before you can heal it. So that's what I see this year for you, and it's not something on the negative side or anything like that. It's just something that I think will bring about growth, because you'll grow from that. You know, the moon is about shadow. You see the moon up there? There's something hidden, and you'll find it by taking that inward journey. Definitely.
Okay, I like that so I got the 9 of Cups for you, Brittany, and I love, Will, that you mentioned like meditation and that journey inward, because the woman on this card is in fact meditating. She is going inward. And there's a few like really interesting things about this card. So she appears to be very serene and at peace, and she's sitting on the seashore, and the waves are coming in and they're about to destroy this sandcastle that she's made. So she's built this beautiful sandcastle, and she's put all these golden cups kind of balanced perfectly. And we know that in a matter of minutes, this sandcastle is going to be destroyed. And I think she knows it too, and she's fine with that. She built that sandcastle knowing that it would only be there temporarily. And it's almost kind of a good metaphor for life, in that everything is temporary. And this idea of going through life and being as at peace as you can be, and almost having like to me, it makes me think of like non-attachment, like not attaching yourself too much to the things that you create and the things that you do, not in a way like, oh, I just don't care about things, not like that, but in a way of like you can tell if you look at the sandcastle, she really put her all into building this sandcastle, and knowing that this is just temporary. And I think that's an interesting metaphor for our lives, because our lives are just temporary. We're just in this state temporarily. But that doesn't mean that we should be like, oh, well, I'm just here temporarily, so it doesn't matter. Like, that's not a great attitude to have. So to kind of weave this card in with the High Priestess, I think the High Priestess, it is about that inward journey, and it's about connecting with the sacred and connecting with that invisible sacred realm. And the 9 of Cups is almost like, okay, how do you take the wisdom that you gain from, going inward and meditating and all of that and tapping into the sacred? How do you take that and apply it in day-to-day life? Because the minor arcana cards are the down-to-earth cards that kind of tell you how you can take the wisdom from the major arcana and like use it in day-to-day life. And so 9 of Cups is saying, throw your, whatever you decide to create or do or focus on or spend time on this year, throw yourself into it, be fully present, give it your all. And also don't attach yourself too strongly, so that that as you create things, those creations are going to shift, they're going to change. Some of them will disintegrate and melt away and not work out, and certain things might grow into something else. So yeah, kind of approaching life from that angle, if that makes sense. Okay. Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah, I think that card, the energy or the visual on that card really matches, I think, the High Priestess, because you have these cups that are very positive, and then you have the waves, and then you have the dog and the crab there. So she's sort of balanced in the midst of both the shadow and the light there. And she's
Mm-hmm.
accepted that and really incorporated that into her daily just routine of just being there on the beach. And so I think it really does match. I think it's a really good match there for what the message we were trying to give. I think that's perfect. Yeah.
Brittany says, thank you both for this reading. You're welcome, Brittany. All right, so I'm going to choose. There is a question from Lori. So Lori, you said you're going to be teaching a tapestry weaving class in February. That's cool. Congrats, Lori. That's awesome. Tapestry weaving class in February. And I have never taught before. Can I have a reading for advice for teaching this class? Okay, yeah. Oh, I love this question. Because I love teaching. So I'm glad that you've asked this question, Lori. Okay. So Lori, the card you got here is, ooh, the moon. All right. The moon is such a mysterious card, and sometimes when it comes up in a reading, I'm like, oh, I know why this is here. And other times I'm like, huh. And this is one of those times where I'm like, what does this mean? Okay. First of all, I think how you see yourself is important here. So I think seeing yourself, I want you to think about, what kind of a teacher do you want to be? Like, how do you want your students to feel while they're taking this class from you, while you're teaching them? How would you like them to feel? And what kind of a teacher do you want to be? Like, are you a fun teacher that inspires people? Are you more an intellectual type teacher? Are you a really informative teacher that gives a lot of important information? Are you more about holding a space for your students? You can be all of those things too, but just thinking about, like, what kind of a teacher do I want to be? How do I want my students to feel as they go through my class? And why I'm saying this is, there's this cat looking at its reflection, and it sees like a jaguar. It sees this like real beast. And I think it's important to get a sense of, what's your ideal vision of yourself as a teacher? What kind of a teacher do you want to be? The other thing I get with the moon is that things will become much clearer to you with experience. So you said this is your first class. So I think after this one class, you're going to have so much more insight and information about how you want to teach, what worked, what didn't, what you enjoyed about the experience, what you didn't enjoy. It's going to give you a lot more information for your next class. And with each class, you're going to get more and more clear on what you need to focus on, what needs to be done. So I want you to not stress out about this class, even though it's the first class you're teaching. See it as almost like a trial run. Like, this is like an experiment. You're going to go, you're going to do your best, and you're going to learn, and just know that. So don't put pressure on yourself to be perfect or to get it all in. And remember, people are looking for an experience. They aren't necessarily looking for information. Information can be gained easily on Google or whatever. So I think that even though as a teacher, you're going to be presenting information, it's more the experience that is important, I think. And I'm also drawn to the path on this card. I feel like this is an important path for you as a teacher. And I'm excited to see where this journey takes you, because I feel like you're just kind of at the start something exciting. So thank you, Lori, for getting me to read for you, and good luck with your course. What card did you get, Will?
Awesome. So I got the King of Swords. And
Hmm.
this is an interesting King of Swords, though, because I find that that empty sleigh really relates to what you were saying, because this person isn't bringing a whole lot. So I don't feel like you need to bring a ton, but you have a sleigh that you can load up. And I think that it's more about taking the journey wherever he's going. He's walking off somewhere, but he's not really worried about anything. He's very confident, and he knows that he can use that sleigh to easily bring those things back. So he has the right mindset going in about learning and about growing, and then he's gonna maybe next time have those things on that sleigh and take it to the next class or the next event that he goes to, and really be able to build from there. So I think you have the interest in this topic, the interest in teaching, and you're going to be able to just add to that as the as you get more and more experience teaching. So I think that going in, of course, anytime you're starting out teaching, you may feel nervous, or you may feel inadequate, but I don't think you need to worry about that. I think that once things get going, you'll be fine, because he has a sled. Again, he has a sled. And to me, a sled is something that when you take it to your destination and you are set up and you're ready to go, it goes really smoothly down the hill. So you're able to navigate down the hill and steer it, and everything, really goes really smoothly, really fast. And I think it'll go by faster than you think. I think time usually goes by so much faster. So that might be another thing to think about, is if you're trying to plan so much, you may end up with all this extra stuff that you don't even cover during whatever time period you have for teaching. And so you may feel like, wow, that went by so fast and I was just over prepared. So there's nothing wrong with that. You can always use that stuff later, but you don't have to do so much. It's more about the experience, learning, taking from that. And I think that the students that you have will be understanding, and that they'll just have a lot of fun with the whole process with you. So.
I also, like, when I saw you first showed that card, the Knight of Swords, it makes me think, like, the Knight of Swords, especially in that card, seems like he would be a minimalist. And it makes me think less is more. Like, don't try to cram your class with everything you know about tapestry weaving.
Yeah,
Less is more.
Yeah, the car is very minimal. There's just snow and sky.
Yeah.
A guy walking with a sled.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he has a candy cane, which, that's not enough to eat, but
yeah. I feel like also, like, with teaching, I think it's a real newbie mistake to think like, oh, I just want to pack everything I know about this one thing into this class. I want to teach everything I know. And that's, I think, comes from a good place, but I think it's not always helpful for students if you're trying to cram a lot in. So I think, yeah, less is definitely more.
And that's interesting, because when I first got this and I thought King of Swords, this was someone that I felt had a lot of intellectual ability and was going to add so much information. But then looking at the card, it's a very unusual one. It's a different type of King of Swords, one that's more on it's almost like a page of swords to me. But yeah.
Yeah. And Lori says, thank you both. This helps me so much. And then she also says, I was overthinking, and the owner of the studio said, keep it simple. Yeah. Good advice. Yeah.
All right. So we did have a question. I don't know if you want to I don't think it's asking for a reading. It's just a question. It says, could you address the difference between intuition and manifestation when doing readings?
Oh, whereabouts? What timestamp?
It's at 12:13. Joe.
Okay.
Herbert.
All right. I'm just going to put this one up on the screen.
Ebert.
Oh, I see it. Okay. Joe. Okay, Joe, could you address the difference between intuition and manifestation when doing readings?
I feel like they're just very different. Like, when I do a reading, I'm not really thinking about manifestation. That seems like a separate thing for me. Like, intuition, I can look at a card and I can intuitively read the card without thinking about the traditional meaning. But that doesn't mean that I'm manifesting that in my life. I think when I'm specifically manifesting, I'm thinking of specifically manifesting. And I don't necessarily even use tarot for that. Like manifestation for me is just putting my intentions out there for what I'd like to see in the world. But I don't have to do that through tarot. I feel like most readings I do are more about reflecting and finding out what's going on in my life and working with that. I guess I'm sort of manifesting in that way because I'm doing an intervention. I'm taking the time to see what would be the best course. And I guess in a way that's manifestation. But people think of manifestation in so many different ways. It's like it depends on what way you think of manifestation. Some people think of manifestation on terms of the law of attraction. And I'm not as big on that. I know that there is a such thing as a law of attraction, but I have my thoughts on how that really works for me specifically, and other people think of that differently. But intuition, I think, is where readings, for the most part, for me, really do come to life when you really tap into what you're feeling in your heart and you're tapping into that. Like for me, I use the word feel a lot because I'm more empathic. I'm not really seeing the future or um, anything like that. It's more of just how I feel when I pull that card. It's like, oh, that feels right to say that. And that feels like the thing that I need to address. So that's the intuitive side for me. And then if I kind of feel like there may be some roadblocks ahead, then I could maybe sit and meditate and manifest something different in my life. Try to attract things that may bring about those differences. I would see manifestation, just from my perspective, as more as the action you would take to modify something in your life as a tool for that. But I don't know. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference that I can see is intuition is receptive. You're in like a receptive mode to be intuitive, whereas manifestation, you're more active. You're out there in the world doing things to try to manifest something. So I think that's the key difference between those two things. They have a very different energy. When it comes to manifesting, usually how I use tarot is if there's something I want to manifest and create, and I may be stuck or I'm not sure how to do it, or I just want to see what the cards have to say about it, I'll figure out, okay, what is it that I want to create or do or be or whatever. And then I'll ask my cards, what's going to help me do this? What do I have to keep in mind as I try to manifest this thing? And then I'll use my intuition, just like you said, Will, to sort of feel into things, like feel into the cards. So to read a card intuitively, there's a certain amount of sitting with that card, being present, feeling into it, being open, being receptive to what comes back. It's almost like a two-way street, like you're having a conversation with your cards, with your tarot deck. I hope does that answer your question, Joe? I hope so.
Yeah.
Let us know. Let us know. Will, did you want to pick
Okay.
someone to read
So
for?
yeah, let me actually pick one. Yeah. Okay, Patricia Estevez, I think it's right after that. I'm really interested in taking a 4-month course on a loved subject, but I already have so much on my plate. What advice do the cards have for me? Let's
I can relate to this question a lot, Patricia.
yeah. Maybe we were kind of just talking about that. And I got 7 of Wands. So I think boundaries for some of these things, maybe it's time to limit that. So I wouldn't add, I don't know, maybe not adding something else, because a 4-month course on a love subject, you might be able to do that one and just maybe remove some other things. But I think it could be too much because there's a clear boundary here on this card. And this person, I think, is getting close to that 8 of Wands point where it's going to become too much. So I think that looking at the things, the options that you have, and you can maybe fit this one in if you think about some things that you can remove. But there does have to be some sort of limit. I mean, I think that this is a clear card on limits, and yeah, I don't see any other way around, but any other way around it, but to tell you that, yeah, there are some boundaries that need to be set. And I think you're right. So you're right. Your intuition is right about maybe adding that to your plate. And I know we were talking earlier with our reading about being able to do so many things. That was the first cards that we pulled. But I think in your case, you may already have enough. I mean, you obviously do, because you're already saying, I already have so much. And if you're saying I already have so much and you already got that mindset going in, adding more, it just seems like you're setting yourself up for overwhelm here. And I think that's what that card's saying, is you're setting yourself up to be overwhelmed. I know on the RWS, this card, the guy looks beat up on the other side of these ones, and kind of like he's been through a lot. He's bandaged up. And I think that could be the case. You could end up, really worn out by the end of the year. And you want to enjoy the year. You don't want to end up having such a miserable year. And yeah, but you'll still be able to get stuff done. That's the thing. You'll get a lot done. I guess the challenging part is just to figure out if you want to put this off because you love the subject so much. In fact, I feel like because you love this so much, you might enjoy it more when you have more time to really focus on it. There's so many things that I love doing, and just because there's so much else going on, I can't even enjoy the thing that I want to do sometimes because there's so many other things interfering. And then I just end up, overall, my mood is low because I'm just bombarded by just day-to-day things. So it could be that as well. Even though you love this thing, it just may mean overall you won't be able to have a great time. So that's what I got there.
Okay, so I feel like my card might contradict that. We'll see. If you hadn't said all that well, I would say something different about this card. So I got the Hierophant, and it shows a teacher teaching students. And I often say when the Hierophant comes up, like, this is about, it's about learning from a teacher, or taking a course. It's about, the Hierophant is about having some kind of structure and some kind of plan for getting you there, which is what a course is. So I feel like when I first turned this card over, it's actually seemed to be encouraging you to be like, yes, there's something about being in student mode that's appealing to you, learning from another person and being a student. And there's something about following someone's, not necessarily instructions, but their formula for doing something and figuring something out. There's something about that is appealing to you. And I think that's what's, in a lot of ways, is what's drawing you in. So I think that you want to be in learning mode. You want to be a student. But what I'm also noticing about this card is there's a certain kind of peacefulness. They're meditating. They aren't doing anything. They have their eyes closed. They're kind of in a state of inaction right now. They're being silent. They're going inward. They're meditating. And I almost feel like there's two parts of you. Like, there's the part that's craving being a student and learning and doing all of that. And then there's another part of you that is also kind of craving space and spaciousness. And the thought of adding another thing to your plate feels kind of cluttered. It feels almost claustrophobic, like there's too much going on. So with the Hierophant, I feel like this card isn't really saying, yes, take the course, or no, don't take the course. It's more saying that one thing that's going to be helpful for you as you move into this year is having some sort of structure or system or way of kind of organizing your time so that you're, it's almost like that gives you a sense of spaciousness by having some sort of system or plan for your year ahead, if that makes sense. Like, a way to organize your time, a way to prioritize things. And this actually, I'm going to segue into promoting something of my own here because this relates. So I've created 3 tarot planning sheets. I have a weekly tarot planner, and it's just kind of walks you through. It's a little worksheet, and it helps you use 1 tarot card to kind of plan your week ahead. And then I have another weekly planning sheet, but this uses 3 cards. And then I have a daily tarot planning worksheet here as well. And these are a free download. If anyone's interested, I'm going to put the link in the comments. So if you're interested in playing around with planning your week or your day using tarot cards, I'm going to put the link where you can figure all that out, where you can get those worksheets. And I'm just going to post it right now. See if, okay, there. I posted it. Okay. So coming back to you, Patricia, yeah, I feel like the Hierophant is more kind of encouraging you to have some sort of plan or system or way of organizing your time, because it does feel like what you need now isn't necessarily another course or another thing on your plate. You're needing spaciousness, but you also want to be in learning mode. So I think as long as you have that in your, in your yearly plan, as long as you said you already have so much on your plate, but as long as one of those things on your plate allows you to be in student mode and allows you to learn a new skill, then you're good. If not, if all the things on your plate do not include being in learning mode, you might want to find a way to work that into things, because that is important for you. I think that there's something about being a student and learning new skills that really like motivates you and lights you up and feeds your soul and keeps you feeling bright and alive as you move through your year. So I think that that's important as well. Okay, so thank you, Patricia.
I think that makes this. I don't think it conflicts with this card. I think it makes sense. I mean, I think that this person actually would enjoy being in that course as long as the other things don't bleed into it. And so I think they're trying to set up those boundaries of, okay, yes, I want to do something that's very different from all the other things that I have on my plate, but I just want to make sure that those things they're giving me that space. They're not encroaching on this territory of being in this course where there's so many other things going on that I can't have that peaceful space and be in that Hierophant mode of learning and growing in that way, and not having so much other stuff just at the back of my mind where I can't really fully immerse in it. So maybe.
Yeah. So I'm just noticing, Will, that we're a little past the hour. So I just want to check in with you. I'm fine to keep going if you are, but I just wanted to check in to see how you're feeling.
No, I'm good. Yeah, let's do some more.
Okay.
I think it's your turn, right?
Yeah. And I'm going to choose, there's one up here that I saw. Actually, there's a couple I want to choose. Okay. Okay. Someone said they've had a really hard time. Who was that? Oh, here we go. Okay. So Castle Tarot. I've had a tough 6 months and would really appreciate a reading. 3 people have treated me badly, and now I have cut them out of my life. What advice do the cards give? All right. Okay, so the card that I choose from the Everyday Witch Tarot is 7 of Cups. Okay. So what advice do the cards give? 7 of Cups. This is about, so first of all, I'll describe what's happening in the 7 of Cups. So 7 of Cups shows that you actually have a lot of possibilities and options available to you as to what kinds of choices you can make, what kinds of things you can focus on. You're not limited. You're not forced to just choose one path. You have a lot of there's a lot of choices kind of at your fingertips. And this is about making a choice. This is about kind of tuning out distractions. And there's almost an air of overwhelm with this card, like feeling like, oh, what should I do next? Do I do this? Do I do this? Do I do that? And what I'm seeing with the Seven of Cups is the woman on this card, first of all, her facial expression stands out to me. So the woman behind the desk, that's not who I'm looking at. I'm looking at the girl who's kind of has her hand raised. And to me, her facial expression is one of someone who is just overwhelmed and kind of numbed out. Like she's just been through the ringer and she's just overwhelmed. Her eyes are glazed over. She's like, oh, has this kind of feeling. So I don't know if that's how you're feeling right now after, you said you've had a tough 6 months. You maybe feel like you've kind of been through the ringer. And the other thing I'm noticing is that she's choosing the cup with the heart in it. So her hand is hovering over the cup with the heart. And she's choosing to focus on love. She's choosing to focus on compassion and to kind of lead with that. And I don't know exactly what that means to you or what that might look like for you. Let me just look at this card again, see what else comes to mind. It's important right now for you to choose what you're going to focus on. Wherever you decide to put your attention and your focus is going to be instrumental in shaping the next 6 months or the next 2 or 3 months. And sometimes we forget this, that what we focus on and where we put our attention and the choices we make are so important. And this is something that I forget all the time. But this is one of those things we have to kind of remind ourselves of. It's like where you put your attention is important. And it sounds like, okay, so there's these 3 people that have treated you badly. You've cut them out of your life. You're sort of, in a way, you've cleared house. You're starting fresh. And the Seven of Cups is asking you to focus on the heart. So that might be focusing on healing those emotional wounds. It might be focusing on being more gentle and compassionate with yourself or gentle and compassionate with others in your life. It might be about focusing on the relationships that you do have that are very loving and kind, and really nurturing those relationships and appreciating those ones. So it depends what resonates with you, but that's what I'm getting from the Seven of Cups.
That's cool. I like that. Follow your heart, because I think that this card really does add to that. So you got the Hierophant card here. And to me, the Hierophant is very much one of those cards of other people dictating things in your life and maybe making you feel like you're not as on the level that they are. And I think that the Hierophant card in this case is just saying, okay, look, that's not the case anymore. Now all these options have opened up. Sorry, I'm going in and out of focus, but sorry that now that all these options have opened up, you're able to choose with your heart and follow what's important to you now. And you don't have all these other influences, and you're free now. You're free to think how you want, free to explore what you want. And that can be a little bit overwhelming, and I can see why you have the Seven of Cups present there as well, because now it's a little bit new territory of, wow, this is different. You almost feel this inability to move forward because you're looking at it. It feels overwhelming because maybe in the past you had a lot of dominant figures there really putting up roadblocks as to the access that you could have because of maybe their insecurities about controlling you or having you behave in a certain way. And I think that once you step out of that, it's just, you have to be brave to follow your heart, because it can be a little bit scary. But this person is actually taking action on the card that Kate pulled there. And I think this card is just reminding you that you've come from that place, of the Hierophant, and it's not somewhere where you want to really go back right now. And a lot of people have a lot of challenges with this card because of that, because they've come from situations like that. And that can be, like you said, a terrible experience. And maybe the reason why you've had such a terrible experience for the last 6 months is because people can be very demanding, and sometimes they put you in a box, and that can be, it's limiting in a way where it's just uncomfortable and you're screaming to get out. So this is your opportunity for that. Go for it and follow your heart on that. All right.
I like what you said, Will. It's well said. It's always interesting too, and I think when we get repeat cards, like I already read the Hierophant, you got the Hierophant, we both got the Three of Swords. I always think it's interesting to like read the same cards but in a different context and a different reader and a different card. I also think that's kind of interesting for people.
Yeah, it's cool to see the different layers of how they can relate to another card, and
yeah,
you know, because it's so flexible. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's see. A bunch of general ones here. Okay, this one, TJ Cromley at 12.
Yes, TJ. Hey, TJ. I hope she's still here. That's the only thing with the questions that are at the top. I don't know if people stick around, but
that's true.
If TJ's here, give us a wave. Say hello. Okay, I see TJ. Okay. I would love a reading on how to
deal with my daughter.
All right. Oh, she's here. Perfect. Okay. Yay.
So I always like to go back to the older ones because you never know. They might be sitting there thinking that, you know, you're going to get to it. It's been there so long. All right. So we got the King of Gifts, which is Pentacles. So King of Pentacles. So the King of Pentacles, you know, of course, a great provider, someone that is full of great advice about the physical world, able to really give you good financial advice, good advice about your physical health, about, you know, things that deal with just being in the physical, grounding. So I would say, dealing for daughter, just continue to give sound, solid advice. And maybe she won't seem like she's absorbing it, but don't give up on those basic traditional things that a parent does as far as teaching. So stay the course. You know, the King of Pentacles is solid because he's on a stable, solid foundation. It's very earthy. And so you just have to be immovable in a sense where you know that you have to be persistent with the things that you're saying, the things that you're doing, and not let, I think sometimes with kids, you may feel overwhelmed because it may not seem like it's sinking in. They'll act like that. They'll act like, oh, you know, they don't care, but they're listening, and those things will pay off in the future. There'll be things that when they look back on it, they'll think, wow, I'm glad that I had that advice. I'm glad that my parents said this. And they do make a difference. So don't lose hope in that sense. I would say to continue to just be there and be supportive. So I have no idea what the situation is, but for whatever reason, because I got this card, I'm thinking it's more of a parental thing where you're being that role model and that figure, but it could be some totally different scenario. But that's the scenario that I approach from this card's perspective, and we'll see what Kate did.
Yeah, so I got the Sun, and I have a really kooky, bizarre suggestion for you, TJ, based on this card. See, this is the danger of me pulling the card at the same time Will does while he's talking. my mind is busy coming up with weird interpretations of the cards, as opposed to just off the cuff drawing a card and going with what first pops into my mind. Okay, so I'll start with what first popped into my mind when I turned over the Sun. The Sun is a really happy, joyful card, and it's all about celebration and joy. And I kind of, on the first hand, my first instinct was, don't take whatever's happening with your daughter, don't take it too, I don't want to say don't take it too seriously, but it's almost like if you can be that sun for her, like a ray of sunshine, a ray of optimism, hope, positivity, that could be helpful. But then I noticed that there's 3 generations of women on this card. So there's kind of the maiden, the mother, and the crone. And that really intrigued me. And at first I was like, what's going on here with these 3 generations? And then it clicked for me. So here's my kooky suggestion. And I don't know, TJ, if I think you said you I think in a past conversation we've had, you said that you enjoy meditation, you like meditating. So if that's something that you're into, doing a meditation where you connect with your daughter's future self, so like the crone version of your daughter, and ask her what she needs from you in this moment. So what you need to do is, what I would do if I was doing this meditation, I would put in my earbuds, I'd listen to some really good meditation music, and I'd allow myself to get as relaxed as I could possibly be. And then I would ask to connect to the spirit of my daughter as a crone, as an adult. So like your future, your daughter in the future, and connecting with that energy and asking her. So just imagining your daughter as a, 30-year-old woman or even a 40, 50-year-old woman, and ask her what she needs from you in this moment as a mother. What would be most helpful to her, now that she's older and looks back over her whole life, what is it that she's wanting from you and needing from you most right now? And just see what happens. See if anything comes back, if you get any impressions. You might get really clear guidance and ideas, or you might not get anything. And so if you don't get anything, I would actually recommend trying this meditation maybe 2 or 3 times and see if anything comes forward. Another thing you can do alternately instead of meditating is ask for a dream, or ask to connect to your daughter's future self in a dream and get the guidance that way, and keep a little notepad and a pen by your bedside table if you get any helpful dreams. So that's what I'm getting. Yeah, that's my kooky interpretation of of the Sun.
Oh, wow. I love that advice. Getting in touch with her in the future. That's awesome. I haven't heard of that. That's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
I've heard of going back and working on your child. But that's...
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a meditation that I've done to meet my future self for getting like guidance on things now. And I always find it really enlightening and like really, really helpful.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to do just a couple more?
Yeah. Let's do a couple more. It's my turn, right? To choose someone? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so TJ says, thanks so much. This is very helpful. All right. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to choose one. Oh, here we go. Okay, Natalia, I would love a reading on what my best mindset approach is with the new guy I am dating. All right. Okay, so Natalia, the card I got for you is the Empress. Cool. All right. um, okay, I love this card because the Empress she's a very sexy card. She's very abundant and she's very relaxed. So the Empress is, I think of the Empress as just kind of being the kind of woman who just smokes a joint in her garden and reclines on her on her sofa and just chills out in her backyard. She's very relaxed. So I think your question was, what kind of an approach should I take to this new guy that I'm dating? I think a relaxed approach. The Empress is abundant because she knows that anything she needs, she can manifest. Anything she needs, she can create. There's more than enough to go around. Like, that is her worldview. That is the way she conducts herself. And I think kind of taking that approach, because I think sometimes in relationships, there can be a tendency to do the opposite, like to feel like there's not enough time or attention or love. And if you come from that place of lack and neediness, that can kind of be off-putting to the other person. And so really channeling your inner Empress. So really tapping into that feeling of feeling at ease in the world and feeling like there's more than enough to go around. And if you need something, you're perfectly capable of creating that thing or finding that thing and connecting with that thing that you need, so that you don't have to rush, you don't have to worry, you don't have to strive. There's a real feeling of like not striving with the Empress. Like, and I always use this analogy of the gardener. There's like two types of gardeners. There's the uptight gardener who has this really like overly manicured lawn. Everything is perfect. There's not a weed in sight. Everything is like just tickety-boo in their garden. And then there's the gardener who's kind of messy and they have like a wild, enchanted, kind of overgrown garden. Things are just going every which way. And maybe there's a few weeds, but there's also a lot of flowers. And the Empress is like that second gardener. Like, her garden is very abundant, but it's also a little unruly. It's a little untamed. So I think you don't want to be a perfectionist with this relationship. You don't want to sweat the small stuff. And you really want to tap into that, your inner Empress, if that makes sense. And I think that that's going to make you a very magnetic person. And it's a good way to be in relationship, I think. What are your thoughts, Will?
Yeah, I feel like you're talking about the card I have. I have the Page of Cups.
And
It
nice.
makes sense because the Page of Cups is not worried about taking that risk with emotions, with love, and willing to really just be there for the experience and enjoy the time to open up. So I would say the approach would be with this person, it's okay to be yourself, to not have to maybe worry that they're going to judge you in some weird way, and that you can actually kind of relax, like Kate was saying, and just sort of be there and not have all these expectations, because you don't want to deal with someone that's wanting you to be a certain way or making you feel like you have to do certain things in order to get their attention or keep their attention. That you can really just relax and be yourself with this person, and that will pay off in the long run. Don't build up any illusions or try to impress them in any unusual way. I think that you can just set the foundation of, this is who I really am, and they'll be accepting to that. And that, in contrast with maybe worrying about certain things, might set up an illusion where it could be something that falls apart as the relationship progresses. So don't start out on that foundation. I think this card is starting out with a solid foundation of like a clear picture of what you want in a relationship, the emotions that you want to open up to in a relationship. It's okay. You don't really need to hold back and put up walls or barriers in the fear of being hurt. So
Yeah, good advice. I like the combination of the Page of Cups
yeah, it really
and
works.
Empress. I think both of those cards are cards of creativity too, like an inspiration, like feeling just inspired by life and open, being creative. Both are receptive cards too. Like the Empress is very receptive and she's nurturing. Page of Cups also, I think, is receptive to like creative ideas and inspiration.
Yeah, and also being receptive to the emotions from this person, because she's filling up this cup on this card. And this is actually called the Page of Good Cheer. So she's filling up this cup and she's being mindful, I guess, of other people and their emotions, and really allowing those to be a part of the experience as well. So not just allowing yourself to connect in this relationship with this person, but listening to this person, and you could provide some healing for them because you're able to hold that space, to hold those emotions as well. And then together, you kind of make this, I don't know, punch bowl of emotions. It kind of builds from there. So, yeah. Sharing the emotions. There's a bunch of cups there. A bunch of things to dip your cups into.
Okay. Do you want to choose the next person, Will?
Yes.
Okay. And do you want to just do one more and then wrap up?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think we're.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see. Okay. Sorry. I saw it just now. Did we do? I don't think we did. We did a Lori, but not this Lori. I think there's a Lori at 1219, because I know we did a Lori.
Okay. 1219. This is way up there. Lori Thorpe?
Lori? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a different Lori. So
okay.
Do you want me to okay. Yeah. Do you foresee romantic relationship in my future? That one?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right, so I got the 9 of Swords. So the 9 of Swords doesn't really scream romantic to me. And this one, actually, if you look at this one, there's 2 people in the bed there, and this other person just kind of seems to be buried in the sheets, and then the other person is just eating a candy cane.
What is happening there?
I know. So I don't know. I don't know that there'll be anything romantic, and it doesn't seem like it to me based on that card. But I would say the thoughts of having to think about this situation and to worry about that is something that you really don't have to worry about right now. I would say that's just extra worry and extra things on your mind right now, and to really focus on some other things. And specifically, maybe just getting some things out of your life instead of bringing something in right now. I feel like this card just feels so jumbled. It feels so confusing with so many things that it needs to be cleaned up. Like the place is a mess. There's all kinds of stuff on the bed, receipts, bills, all kinds of things. This looks like this guy's up after Christmas, worried about all the things that he bought, and he needs to like take care of a few things. I think there could be potential after some things are taken care of. I don't know.
Okay.
But that's the card I got.
I got okay, so my reading contradicts that. So I got the 9 of Cups, and this is such a romantic card. Look at all the hearts. This is the 9 of Cups is the ultimate romantic guy. So I think yes. I think a romantic relationship is most certainly possible for you this year. I I mean, there'd be a few cards that I think would signify romance, which would be like the Lovers, the Two of Cups, maybe 10 of Cups, maybe even Four of Wands. Definitely Knight of Cups is very romantic. So this is one of those cards. Ace of Cups. Those are all the ones I a lot of the Cups cards I would look for. So we have the Knight of Cups, and I feel hopeful for you. I feel like these two cards go together though. And I feel like, was it the Nine of Swords that you got, Will?
Yeah.
So I feel like they go together. Maybe the Nine of Swords is like, just like you said, Will, this is like the work you need to do first in order to open up the doors for this character to come in.
Yeah,
So yeah, I feel like they go together. So I feel like there is potential. I feel like there's potential, but I feel like there's also things that might be getting in the way. There might be things that get in the way. There might be some frustrations along the way, but I do think that the Knight of Cups definitely shows potential for a future relationship. I think that as I look at the Knight of Cups, a few things stand out to me. The fact that the Knight of Cups is flying through the air and he's over a body of water. Now, to me, a body of water is like a symbol of like the watery emotional realms and the emotional depths. But he's like risen above that, and he kind of has a bird's eye view of things. So I think kind of gaining a bird's eye view and an overview and understanding of your emotions and your emotional life, and like how you kind of getting some understanding as to your emotional patterns and how you react to things emotionally, what kinds of emotional habits or patterns you are in. Kind of getting a greater understanding of that, I think, is key here. And then the other thing that kind of strikes me about this card, well, no, you know what? That's the only, other than the heart bubbles, which I think are so funny. So yeah, I feel like this is a great card to get for this question. Yeah, what do you think, Will?
I think it could work with the card that I have. If you look at it in terms of progression, I think you could think, okay, well, maybe don't worry right now because the future will bring something romantic, but it may not look that way initially. There may be some things that get in the way, like you said, that need to be taken care of. And then later on, there'll be a change. So it could just be something where it's like, yeah, but as life is, things change. The first part of the year may seem like, oh, there's no romance. Then all of a sudden someone may swoop in. So you're asking about an entire, about your future. It doesn't really have a time frame. So if you're thinking in terms of a year, this guy may show up at the end of the year. So we don't know, as far as like a timeline, but there could be a mixture of some things going on as far as your future.
So Brian says the body of water seems to have a shark's fin in it. Yeah, it really does. I didn't mention that because I'm like, what do I make of that? So there's a shark right under the Knight of Cups, but it feels like a friendly shark. It actually feels like the shark is guiding the Knight of Cups, and he's following the shark and looking where he's going. It's almost like the shark and the Knight of Cups are one. The shark is just his watery counterpart. So yeah, it feels friendly to me. It doesn't feel ominous or threatening. It definitely feels kind of friendly, like the shark is like guiding him. Yeah, good point, Brian.
All right. Well, hopefully
All
that was
right.
helpful for
Yeah. Hopefully that was helpful. Okay, so that's it for readings. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who submitted questions and who allowed us to play around with our cards and read for you. So thank you so much. And I apologize for everyone that we didn't get to read for. There's a lot of questions. I saw a lot of questions that we didn't get to read for. So I'm sorry that we did not get to you. But we do these pretty pretty regularly. So hopefully
Mhm.
you can come to our next one and we can read for you. Lollipop Trees says, can you do a collab based on your spiritual beliefs on different topics like manifestation, working with spirit guides, conspiracy theories, new age beliefs, impactful classes, highlights of reading, etc.? Oh, that's actually
Should
kind
do
of a
that
cool
again.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can
As
just
we've been
discuss
doing
stuff.
these, yeah, we've been doing these a lot. And I think we did initially do some videos on different topics. And yeah, those have always been nice too. Mhm.
That would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Working with spirit guides, all that's manifestation, meditation,
Mm.
etc. New age beliefs. That would be a fun one because I kind of hate a lot of some of the new age beliefs. And what's funny is like when I first started getting into tarot, I really got into new agey things. And there was a
Mm.
lot of new age beliefs that I kind of bought into and really liked in the beginning. And then over time have developed a certain kind of almost an allergy to some of the new agey beliefs, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Well,
Oh no, I know exactly what you mean. I feel exactly the same way, and that's why a lot of my initial videos I took down because I was in a different place with the whole new age belief systems, and now I see them very different, almost from an opposite perspective of these are not even very helpful.
yeah.
In fact, they can be damaging in some sense.
What would you
So
say was the least helpful or the most has the most potential for being damaging? One that you
I
did a real about face about.
yeah, I think my initial thoughts on law of attraction and manifestation have changed. I feel
Mhm.
like there's a little bit of a victim blaming mentality being applied to it, and I think that that can be really harmful to a lot of people. Where it's kind of this toxic positivity thing, where it's like, oh well, if this is happening to you, it's your fault because you're not manifesting correctly. And I think that that attitude it just doesn't help anyone. I think it just makes people feel guilty and bad about themselves. And I think that needs to be really something that we need to focus on in the future as far as spirituality and say, hey, these things are not people's faults. I mean, people's fault. People have different experiences in life. We can't really judge someone like that and just say, oh, this is happening to you because of your spiritual beliefs. And I don't know about that. That just feels wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I have the same feeling about that, about the manifestation stuff. Because I think I remember when it was first like super popular, was kind of, or when I first noticed it was like the time when The Secret came out. That's when I
Mhm.
feel like I was really aware of this idea of manifesting and stuff. And I think like the law of attraction and manifestation is a real thing. I don't think
Mhm.
it's all crap, but I
Yeah.
feel like the way it sometimes gets talked about in a lot of new agey spaces is like as if this is like you have complete power to manifest things, and that's not true. Like there's other forces and things happening as well, and it's like I don't think that we can manifest anything we want. I think there's other things that affect things too, and I don't think it's like your fault if things aren't going your way or you're not able to manifest something.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think this will be a this we should do this for our next collaboration, I think, because I'd love.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good topic. Yeah.
There's a comment here from Luna. One of my guilty pleasures is watching videos of people on why they left the new age.
Mm.
I love that. I don't feel like I was ever in the new age. So I mean, well, I went through a phase. I definitely went through a phase
Mhm.
for sure. What about you, Will?
Yeah, I think I went through that phase too, and yeah, it did. I mean, it wasn't until maybe not even too long ago where I really broke free of that sort of
Okay,
thought process. Yeah, but
cool.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, a big topic, big topic. Yeah, that I think needs
Yeah,
to be discussed. Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like it becomes sort of gimmicky too in a way because it seems like there are people latching onto that and still using it as a way to put themselves in the spotlight, like, oh, I have the key to how you need to manifest or what you need to do, and they take this sort of hierophant role.
yeah.
I think that it's becoming the new hierophant in a sense. where people are saying, well, you need to do my 12-step program to know how to exactly manifest and do it my way. When I think there's multiple ways of using manifestation in your life, and it doesn't work. There's not a recipe for everybody. I think
Right.
that for someone to say, I don't know about that. It becomes sort of guru-ish. I'm not a fan of that.
There's a lot of cultiness. There's a lot of cult new age crossover, I find. There's a lot of cult, and there's a lot of people really wanting to be a guru. And the more time I spend, because I do, watch some new agey things and read new agey books from time to time. And what I'm noticing, the thought that I keep having is I don't think anyone really has the answers. No one really knows what they're doing on this planet. And anyone who pretends that they do is probably a charlatan. So I think when people like present themselves as if they have the key or the answer or like the secret, and I'm always like immediately suspicious. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it might work for them, but that doesn't mean that that's the key for the entire world, and how someone can set themselves up to say, "Oh, I have the key for everybody," and that's I don't know about that. That just doesn't
Yeah.
seem right. I mean, how do you know? I mean, just I think we're all exploring and experimenting with things, and sometimes
Yeah.
we find things that fit into our lives and work. But to just judge other people because they don't do it exactly the way you do it, I think that's where the issue is. It's this whole
Yeah.
idea of I'm right, I know how to do it, and you're wrong.
Right.
So yeah.
And Brittany says, I don't follow the law of attraction. The law of assumption is much more straightforward to me and doesn't involve toxic positivity. I don't think I've heard of the law of assumption.
I've heard of
I'll
it,
look
but I don't
into
really
that.
understand what that is. I've heard people
Okay.
talk about it, but yeah, I'm not really
Okay.
I haven't really figured it out.
Something to look into for sure. Okay, so let's wrap things up, and we can talk and we can plan another collaboration where we discuss some of those juicy new agey topics.
That's I'm all about that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for, if you want to learn more about me or learn about tarot card reading, you can check out my website, dailytarotgirl.com. And of course, check out my Daily Tarot Girl YouTube channel. I've got lots of fun tarot learning resources on there for you to check out. And Will, where can people find you?
So you can find me on Atypical Tarot, my YouTube channel. And you can also, same thing for Instagram, same thing for my email, same thing for my website, Atypical Tarot. So, but the website's atypicaltarot.squarespace.com. I do readings. So if you want a reading, you can go there. And that's about it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for being here, Will. Thanks for doing readings with me. And
Yeah, always
I'll
fun.
see everyone in the new year. I'm going to be posting my new year forecast reading soon. I haven't done it yet, so I'll be doing it over the next few days. And stay tuned for my New Year's tarot retreat or my free tarot journaling workshop for planning your year ahead. I'm going to be coming up with that in the next few days. So lots to look out for. So thanks everyone for being here and wishing everyone a happy new year.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.